Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? Pull that down. There we go. It is a lovely Wednesday. We made it to the middle of the week. Woo, woo, woo. Oh, happy days. We're just chilling, trying to get a game started, trying to see where my people are, trying to talk about his Dark Materials Part 2 because I finished that. Book series. It probably took me about 2 weeks. I did the audio books and it was amazing. I've actually read the first book back so many years ago, and I just didn't get a chance to read the second and the third because they were just coming out, and I got a bit lazy and then I forgot about it, but figured now is a good time to go back and reread it or hear it again. And I could listen to it consecutively instead of, waiting a couple months or a couple years for the next book to come out. Like I said, right now we're just waiting on my peeps to jump in and get started. But in the meantime, I'll talk about do a recap of last session. Yeah. Last session we were just talking about how the books are very churchy and religion, and how Lyra, this child, has two parents that don't even really want to be her parents. They are off busy trying to achieve things in their career, which, I mean, it's understandable, but mom had an affair that resulted in Lyra, and then dad kind of was like, okay, I'll just bring you to the college I attend, dump you on the scholars there, and we'll see. I'm gonna go. Peace out. I'm gonna go on this trip, find something of value, do all these research, and you're just, gonna grow up by scholars, surrounded by them, like no real formal education there. And that was okay. For a while there. Other than that, Miss Lyra had got to do whatever she wanted. Very, very bossy girl. She was, I think, 11, I think, at the time of the first book. She witnessed potential murder by someone she trusted. She got kidnapped, or almost kidnapped. She was a very amusing character with leadership skills because she could amass a group of children and do little turf wars against other children in the community. It was interesting and very, very relentless, and obviously sometimes when you read a book you're like, you should just treat this child as a little bit more intelligent than what you're treating her as. But I guess it makes the story, and the author does his own thing. I think last week we talked about opening the hole into the universe, to another world. So they were basically doing a lot of physics where there's multiple universe and dimensions, and it's all sitting upon the same one, and you can't really see or know about them until like this special thing happens. And at that time, it was the Northern Lights, and then you can see the gateway to one city. I mean, you could never reach it, but you saw it. So physical proof that it's real. So her dad, basically killed her friend by slicing the bond between his demon and the human, which either leads to them dying, or they're alive but they go crazy because now this part of them is no longer there and they don't know what to do. It sounds very horrible. And to just imagine them doing that to a multitude of children, mostly the low-ranking ones, servants and homeless and people no one would miss. That was really sad to read. But it's a very definite parallel to things that occur in this world. So her dad he makes a bridge into the new world. Let's see if they're going to play. He makes a bridge to the new world. There, he just kind of goes off, walks off. And she was kind of hiding, and she's like, you know what, I'm going to follow. We have to stop him. I can't believe he's my dad, and all these mixed emotions. And off she goes, but somehow she loses her way and ends up in the gold city that has been floating in the Northern Lights, which is empty, strangely. So that's the second book. It's basically what happens there, which is she meets up with this boy. His name is Will. He's on his own adventure journey that is to find his father because his mom is mentally ill. She is very paranoid, and they are men coming to ask her questions and look for something specific related to his dad. And he has caught them breaking and entering into his home. And he also doesn't want the police involved to ask questions because obviously he's a child taking care of his mother. Therefore, that would result in him being put into the foster care system or the system in general. And that's not something he wanted. So obviously at that point they can't involve the police, and so he goes on his own adventure to figure out what happened to his dad and what was his dad mixed in, which ends up resulting in him going into the world where Lyra is at. He finds a little window in space just floating, and a little cat makes it, does the I'm here, and then I continue walking, and then I disappear. And he's like, oh, curiosity, what in the world? And that's how he finds the window, which is really cool. I mean, if I found a little window into a different world, I would probably go through it and just wander around and be like, what's this? What's going on? And hopefully, not lose where that window is and be able to come back. Because, your curiosity is there. Though that moment reminded me of, it's basically a Portal, so it reminded me of the game Portal, and then it reminded me of that scene in, Endgame Avengers, where everyone walks out of the portals from wherever they're at into the battlefield. That's what that reminded me of. I was like, so good. And then I thought a little bit more about that fight, and I was like, oh. But in regards to the book, the second book, the subtle knife is the book in the series. I'm gonna just play a random round until they're like, tell me when they're ready to play. So yeah, he walks into this world. He kind of chances upon Lyra. I want the airship. Right. He chances upon Lyra, and she kind of attacks him because they both don't know what's going on or who this other person is. And off they go. They realize they're not against each other, and that they're kind of friends, kinda. So it takes them a while to. This is not the airship that I wanted. But they get to trusting each other. Lyra asks him to explain where he came from and things like that. So he tells her what his world is like, and he's like, well, I need to figure out about dust, which is, we don't really, we are explain what dust is in their world, but we're not really sure how it applies to like the world currently I'm in, this world. Don't need to go there. Need to go over here. Ooh, I don't need to die. First of all. So in the world that is Oxford Medbay, we gotta do this. Off they go back into, and obviously Will's like, hey, you gotta listen to me, this is my world, and I know how to blend in. And she's like, I'm pretty sure I could do a better job than you can. And she kind of fucks up there. She loses the lithometer. Oh my god, wow. I kind of was thinking he was the imposter when I passed him. But I was not prepared to die. So yeah. She loses the lithometer. She fucks up an interrogation by what I'm assuming were the FBI guys. They're like the mob. I thought they were mobsters, like going after this little kid. It turns out they're, part of the defense department and are investigating this phenomenon that occurred where his father disappeared. But they're thugs, that's for sure. Anyway, they bully them into no, it is white. Into getting a meeting with Lyra. And hello. The Buddha, how are you? It's been a while. We are just talking about his Dark Materials, the series. And I'm basically giving a rundown of the stories here. So if you don't want spoilers, I'll try to be vague, but if you don't care, then I'll just spew words. Yes, that is the one with the golden compass, the subtle knife, and the amber spyglass. So I just finished that series last week. There is an imposter about us. Yes. Yeah, that's awesome, because I've been wanting to talk to someone about them after I've read them. I read The Golden Compass, I think in middle school as well, but I didn't read the other two, but I finally got around to it this time. I'm gonna skip this one. And it was really, 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 really good. I really, really liked it. Um, I'm currently talking about the second book, The Subtle Knife, with Will, and how the Defense Department comes and, ransacks his house in order to find documents or letters for his dad to his mother to be able to find the window into Lyra's world. Um, and I really enjoyed the way the story was told, how it goes from certain people to other people. Oh man, please don't die. Ah. Oh, okay, we're good there. Um, okay, I was explaining Will and how Lyra fucks up because she thinks she knows it all, and she kind of lets the defense people know that Will is with her, and then she loses the lithometer uh with the snake dude, which that was really his character was really well written because I didn't like him. I was like, no, it had to be him. Blue, not blue. No. I'm gonna go with black. Oh yes, yes, yellow. Unless I screwed us up and it is yellow. Um, but yes, Lyra. Oh yes, yes. Good job, us. Lyra is very, very stuck on figuring out what dust is, and she goes to the physics lady in our world, and it's like, yo, so my little instrument told me I should come here because you know what I want to know. And this lady is like the epitome of what like a grad student or like a research student is, with like a disc-shelf appearance and coffee, multiple cups of coffee here and there because, they pulled an all-nighter and she's researching about dark matter and all that good stuff. And then you have this little kid that comes in and it's like, yo, I know what you're talking about. Like, let me dump this information on you. And she just throws out this information, and then she like shows her how to use the computer system in order to be able to get readings from dust. And then she tells her how she should fix said computer system. Um Which, as an adult woman, that you just get told by this like little child, like how to appropriately do your research, is like a blow to your ego. I was like, damn, this lady just did not know what she was gonna get up to today, or what was coming at her today. And I just missed this part. I need to go here. And she just looked tired, or she was. I think she was tired. I think it looked like she had not slept. Um, and she kind of doesn't really believe it, even though she's seeing it. But I guess that also pulls in the little theory of like you don't believe until you see, or you have to believe even if you can't see it. Not me. Trust. Turn task. I'm gonna go with yellow here. Which I think at this point, once we figure out dust is conscious, and it has its own thinking and everything, and like at that point I'm like, this is very like religious-y at the moment. Like what is gonna come, what is the explanation of how dust is conscious? And I was waiting to see how that was gonna be done. Which it took I think it took most of the second book, because the second book is basically about trying to get the lithometer back. Will and Lyra bonding over the fact that they are both from two separate worlds, but they're obviously children. Tasked with these very important missions that they have to do. And trying to figure out what is the right course of action to take, I guess would be the right way to put it. Now we have to go find another server. And let's find a new game. Sorry, it's been a while. I'm trying to remember half of this. I want any. That's probably the appropriate choice. Let's do Polis. Okay, so anyway, all of that occurs. They make it out. They find the knife. Home dude gets his finger sliced off through a fight with this crazy. I guess they were like older teenager from how it read. It's explained and told very, very quickly. This is how you use the knife, and this is how you open windows, and this is how you close it, but it is very important to close these windows after every use, right? Awesome. I was like, yes, he gets more time. He gets to learn what to do with this knife, and the answer is no. No, he does not. You as the reader know he needs this knife. And between the back and forth of you reading their side of the story and then his dad's side of the story, it's like you know he needs this knife, and you know it's very important, and you know what he has to do with it. Did I report it? I did report that. No, Blue was there? What? That's crazy. I didn't even see him. So yeah, you know what is needed, but the crazy thing is, at least in this part of the book, is like home dude, old dude that was the previous bearer of the knife was like, so yeah, you're that's what you need to do. This is what is needed. And once you step out with this knife, I mean, the knife is yours, but once you step out, I mean, regardless of what you do, I will die here. And then he's like, but I will not die through the specters. It will be through my own hand. And obviously, Lyra, as an 11-year-old, has never been in that situation, and she doesn't understand until the very end. And that he ends up poisoning himself because he doesn't want to die through the specters. And it's like a very pivotal moment, in my opinion, where it's like, this is where we see the shortfalls of humanity. Or, I mean, I understood Home Dude. At a certain point, you're just like, I'm done. He had his task of giving knowledge to the next knife bearer, and he did. And then his task was done, and he could do whatever he wanted to, which at that point was to rest in peace. Da, 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 da. After that, off they go. Still trying to Lyra realizes she needs to help Will, and that is the appropriate way to do this. And so she stops looking for dust, or trying to figure out what dust is. And she focuses her attention on what Will needs to accomplish. And so off they go, and they travel, and they come upon the witches who have been flying towards them. And we also get like little bits and pieces of what the prophecy were for Lyra, because Lyra has this prophecy about her, which in I guess towards the end of this book, her mother basically tells you what it is, and you get like bits and pieces. Not me. I'm voting. And so we find out in the second book that the witches foretold of this great battle that would occur between the authority and fellow people. Da-da-da-da. And oh, I need to go over shields. And how Lyra has this choice where she has to be tempted, and her choice, whatever choice she makes, will be the result, right? And so at that point, I'm just like, this sounds very Adam and Eve like. There's a snake, which you find out that the lady that she spoke with in Oxford of our world, the research lady, gets spoken to through the computer lithometer, and she gets told that her role, she has to play an important role, and she has to leave and travel and pack her stuff and then go, and that her role is to be the snake. And when I read that, I was like, oh my god. Because I just died. I was exactly like that. But no, I was like, oh my god, she is. Hello, Branch Leaf. How are you? I just got murdered. That's me. We're just chatting about the his dark materials. And I'm just giving a rundown, a synopsis of the second book at the moment. Chillin' and it's nice, yes. So I was at the part where the lady in the second book is the snake, or gets told she's gonna be the snake. And obviously she doesn't understand that, and you as the reader, after like a couple of different back and forths between the character, realize so she is the snake in the garden that has to tempt Eve to take a bite of the fruit. And we know playing around on stream. Forget on. I gotcha. Who got but oh, there was a tie. So that is a very pitiable, like, oh my god, what? When I was reading that part in the series. Um but then I'm unsure of how is she the snake in the story, like is she the person that has to be like, well, if you want to learn about dust, you have to follow me type of snake, or like how is she going to tempt Lyra? And that was the biggest question in book 2, which doesn't get answered in book 2. It gets answered in book 3. We gotta go to navigation. Oh, and admin here. So that was the big, in my opinion, that was the biggest thing. Like, and then we switch over to Lyra's mother, who so far she plays like the role of like the villainess that you hate. I can't help you there. The villainess that you hate, but I mean, you can't really hate because you understand her point of view. And at the beginning, she's horrible and does all these horrible things. And then as the series goes, you're like, well, I understand she's trying to do better and make better choices in order to protect her daughter, who is Lyra. And Lyra's all like, well, she betrayed me once, and I don't like her, and she's not my mother, and she can do whatever she wants to do. But I'm not going with her, which is like very hurtful for her mother. But I mean, she made choices, and her choices were a little bit horrible and a little cringeworthy there for a child of 11 that you're trying to protect, but you're also not treating like you didn't care for her until now. Until now, you know that like she plays an important part. And now that you realize that the people that you have been working for are going to kill your daughter, essentially. Now you have a conscience and realize you've been a horrible mother, essentially there. And we do see the things that she does, like she betrays the company she's with, and steals away her child in order to protect her. And in stealing her away, they end up in a cave, and she drugs her child to keep her safe. And that one, I was like, wow. I felt like, Dolores Umbridge is bad in Harry Potter, but this lady right here, you love your daughter, and maybe you could have explained to her why you needed to make the choices you needed to do and why keeping her here would have been safer for her, but we're going with the option of drugging her to the point of almost death in order to keep her safe. That was very interesting there. And then obviously you have the other character that is realizing you have this lost mother and daughter that are just, hiding out in this cave, and you're bringing them food, and you think that they're a saint because the legend around town was that they were a saint, and only holy people go up there and pray and try to talk to God and all that good stuff. And it is very good until she realizes that the mother is drugging the daughter, and that the daughter is there against her will. That is an interesting situation to put another young child through. A lot of this is like very situations that children see and cannot comprehend, essentially, and try to help out. And sometimes they do a very good job, and sometimes it's because they just don't understand what's going on. Uh, they the choices they make are not the best choices. Um, so that was interesting. Um, and then it's more of like, well, do you have the courage to do something about it, or do you just kind of sit on the sidelines and let it happen and not do anything about it? Like, which one do you do? The book essentially is a lot of like, what would you consider to be the right choice between what is good and what is bad? And that is the overall theme of that book, in my opinion. So that leads us into the third book, where Will and Lyra have been separated because Lyra has been kidnapped by her mother. Will is on an adventure to now find Lyra. He meets the polar bear king. He tricks him. He doesn't really trick him. He kind of is like, you get gas for your ship to move on down south by beating me. So we'll call this a fight. And but there's no real fight because obviously the knife he has, a subtle knife, can cut through anything really, really easily. And so he shows the bear by destroying his helmet. Oh, crap, I thought I was dead, honestly. I forgot about there. So he shows the bear by cutting his helmet that, I could kill you if I really want to, and the town people are happy, and so he's like, well, before you celebrate, you gotta give them gas so they can continue on their way. So Will is very smart for like a 13-year-old boy, and very intelligent, clever, very clever. Um, Communications over here. Other way. So that's good to see, like a teenager making really clever choices. Dang it. And then he does find his dad. It is a very distraught way he find his dad. He is restless during the night, and he takes a really long walk, essentially. Finds him on top of a cliff, like in the darkness. Uh and this is the part that was very, I wasn't sure if it was really happening or if it was like a trance, essentially. Just because he meets his dad, and it's so dark they can barely see each other. But his dad is like, oh, you must be the next knife bearer. You have a great responsibility. And oh my God, you're a kid. This is too much of a heavy burden for a kid to do, but I mean, you're the one that bears the knife, so this is your responsibility. And as I'm reading this, you guys, I'm just like, that's your son, bro. And to Will, I'm like, that's your dad. And Will is just on this opposite side of the spectrum. And it's like, no, that's not what I came here to do. That's not my mission. My mission is to look for my father, not to get sidetracked. into helping this war, which the war is Lyra's dad against the authority. And the authority is basically what the church refers to as God. And you're getting bits and pieces as you're reading along. And admin. I'm an electrical. And this moment that's supposed to be extremely happy and like maybe filled of joy, like, yeah, you found your dad, look at that. Now you get to like continue on your adventure because this is what was your destiny, or this is what you've dreamt about in your former years as a child. Communications, and then to electric. Orange was in electric. This moment is actually tainted. So obviously the dad, who is Mr. Perry, who was stuck in Lyra's world for 12 years, and has this heart disease because he's been stuck in this world. And wow, that sucks. It's not me, but okay. Who gets stuck in this world, has a heart disease, is dying, went through this battle of like people shooting at him priorly to this moment right here. So he's very weak. And he's telling this young man, this boy, this child, that he has to help lead victory in this war to the appropriate side, and to forget about everything else, but to focus on this task and this task alone. And Will, who has been looking for his dad, is kind of like, you can't tell me what to do. That's not what I'm going to do. That's not my job. And then somehow, one way or another, someone lights a match. And they look at each other's faces. Oh my God, and so died. And they look at each other's faces, and like you have a moment or two where they realize they look very alike, in this moment of like understanding that they are father and son. And I was almost tearing up there. I was like, yes, we have made it through two books, a book. And dude. And I was like, oh, this moment is what we've been waiting for. Is this a happy reunion? And it turns out there was a witch that was in love with Mr. Perry, and he denied her because he was very faithful as to wife and his child, which kudos to him. That was great. Like, a morale there. Like, you were faithful to your wife even though you knew you would probably never make it back home. And because of this, the witch was revengeful, basically, and she found him and shot him with an arrow in front of his son, and his son watched him die. And that broke my heart right there, because I was not expecting that. Like, I've been through this whole emotional roller coaster with this kid about finding your dad and doing what your dad wanted you to do, or helping him, and here we are finally at this moment where you are doing such things. And I was hoping they were going to get more time than the time they got, and no. He just had to watch his father die in front of him, and that was heart-wrenching. And obviously he can't understand that the reason why the witch killed his father is because she loved him. And she even does say that the reason why was because of love. And even though he explains to her, it's like, why did you have to do that? You killed my father. And then obviously the witch is like, that couldn't be. I mean, it wouldn't change what I did. But still. And I was like, oh my God. My heart broke for him. But through whatever powers he finds the strength. And he's like, he continues onward with his journey, and it was good. Um, and he goes off, and I mean, he's still trying to understand why the witch killed his dad, and I mean, he's very poorly prepared for his trip, so he kind of takes his father's cloak and his bag and I think his shoes. So, and I was like, I mean, you're not wrong, but also like, oh man, that sucks. Um, that you're having to do that. But on he goes. He searches for Lyra, and um, and he tracks her down. Um, he actually pairs up with the polar bear king, and takes the boat with him down. And then a witch lady comes and finds them and tells them of what happened. And they travel to where Lyra's at, and Will actually goes up to the cave and like peeks in, talks to the mother, and this is where it got a little bit weird for me. I mean, I guess I could understand it, but the boy, Will, starts thinking of like I gotta skip because I don't know who would um he realizes how the mother looks would probably be how Lyra would look later on in her adult years, and he like falls for this woman. He falls for the mother, and reactor is over here. She he's kind of like spell 7, 8, 9, 10 spellbound, something like that. Um, and he can't stop staring at her, and she is very sly, very very sly, and she realizes that he like has a crush on her, and so she uses it against him basically. Um, and it's a little weird because he's like, I don't understand what these feelings are, but I just it's not me. I don't know. How do I know it's not purple? Uh, Henry Actor. Purple's over here. Trying to start some stuff. I'm gonna fight purple. No, okay, it's not me. I've already voted. So yeah. Will is bold enough to go confront Lyra's mom and also memorize how the space looks so he can cross and cut a little window there. And then he meets up with the little girl that's been trying to help Lyra get away from her mom, but she hasn't thought of a good idea. And so Will and her like confide in each other, and it's like, all right, we're teaming up to save Lyra. Let's go. And so they do. Um, it kind of it goes as well as they could have planned. They were just not expecting like these other giant forces of men with guns to also come towards Lyra, because at this point everyone has realized how important Lyra is and the fact that her choice could either destroy the world or renew the world, and the church just wants her dead. Basically it. They just don't want to have this child uh they don't want this child to jeopardize what they've achieved so far, which this is a theme of kind of how people are, in the general sense that you kind of don't tell your followers the whole truth. You kind of let them believe what they want to in order to help your task go smoother. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is this is very relevant, and or the themes here are very relevant to today. Um, it's very politically charged, at least with the way the church works and how things have to be done. I think this is honestly my last task here. Yeah. Um, the church doesn't. Well, actually, the church is executing people that go against the theme or the theories that they have in place. Anyone that says it's different, chop chop. That's what happens to them. If you toe the line and you're like, well, it was a thought, but we don't really think it's going to happen, you know? I mean, that's okay. So, who of you is it? I think it's purple still. It's not me. I'm gonna go with purple now. Let's see if they vote me out. Yep. All right. I'll be right back. Let me type that in. Just gotta go. Do do do. Where's my BRB? Alright, sorry about that. Wow. Let me get them in here. You. Alright. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully good. Let me just double check. Okay. Des is here. So is Matt. So where was I? Will, little girl helping out. They went to save Lyra. Okay. They went to save Lyra. They make it into the cave. Will goes to use the knife to open a new portal. And he looks up and sees Mrs. Coulter, which is Lyra's mom, and her beauty just makes him lose concentration of the knife, and he breaks it. So the knife shatters into a million pieces. Well, 7 pieces, I believe, is the appropriate number. Which at this moment makes me think of like the 7 deadly sins, but when I was reading it, did not. But right now it does. In the meanwhile, outside the cave, there is a ferocious fight occurring between the factions of the Authority, which have come to kill Lyra, and her father's forces, which have come and help Lyra escape. And there we meet a couple of new characters. We find out that there are like little mini humans that are like maybe this tall. And they have just been trying to track Lyra and Will and keep with them. So while all this is going on, they manage to paralyze Mrs. Collier in order to escape, and they also manage to escape. They go into a different world. Let's just play for a moment here to start. Do not lose the room. They go rest for a day, and then they wake up Lyra, and then they continue on with their task, which is like you have a kid who I have seen some these poor kids, they are weary and struggling and tired, and they've just been on the go. Wop. And they still have to go. They cannot stop. At this point, we see the character development of Lyra, who goes from this very big, ferocious, I can do anything, you have to listen to me type of girl, to like, I have done some bad choices and it makes me cautious, and I am also unsure of myself, like am I making the right choice kind of person. And it's a little sad, but it's also like you're growing up and you're realizing how hard and difficult the world could be, and that your choices not only affect you, but it also affects the people around you, and how this one, oh, we have a lettuce burger, how one choice that you don't think would affect a lot of people does. And she looks to Will to help her, like, make sure she's on the right track, and Will is like realizing you've you've gone through a lot and you realize what some of your mistakes were, um and that you need a shoulder to lean on, and I am right here. And it's like, oh, it's so cute to see that occurring. And it's also good to see, like, Will, like, let go of his paranoia and a little bit of stuff that he has been working through himself. And it's also hard and difficult because you have these very big, overwhelming forces and adults that are like trying to get them to do the thing that they need to do, but it's very direct. And what they're trying to achieve, what the kids are doing, is more they're taking about a roundabout way. Um, so they're not going the direct route, they're going a roundabout way. And obviously, as an adult, you're like, you gotta get this done, you gotta come here, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And to them, it's like, no, that's not the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go help save my friend. And before that, we have to go do this mission we both agreed on before we can even get to the place where you are wanting us to go, right? So you have that fight between, like, the little mini adults and then the uh the rest of them. No, well, the little mini adults and the children. But they stick. I'm still suspicious of Red. Wow. Obviously, I am a very good, like, person. Joke, joker. I'm gonna go with black as well. Oh no, I didn't have time. Okay, next time I'll be on the lookout for a black there. So honestly, they are also malnourished and they're like dirty. I mean, when you're on the go, you don't have time to take a shower or anything like that. So you can tell that the travels are getting to them, both of them. And security is down here, right? And security. Where is security? Okay, it is down. But off they go. They're still strong. They go down to, oh, wrong way, wrong way. They go down to the world of the death, which was a moment of point in the books. It's like, is it a real world? Why, I passed it. Oh, oh, I passed it a lot there. Oh, close. Ah, yes. Who was it? I think it was black. Um, which brings up when I read this part, I was like, oh my goodness. Because all I could think about was this is a very, very like what how do I call it? It's a touchy topic. It was a touchy topic because everyone, at least in the world, as the church and the authority claim, when you die, you go to heaven. Player speed. Player speed. Imposter vision. Yes, the church tells you you go to heaven. Everyone knows that. Either your choices that you've made throughout your life say you go to heaven, or you've done wrong and you go to hell. And now you're telling me that there's this world for the dead. And that is blasphemy, essentially. in the book. And obviously a couple of the little mini spies that are there with them are like, I don't think they're really a world of the dead, but if that's where you're going, I mean, we have no choice but to tag along because our master told us to. So off they go. They find the world of the dead and go. Actually, the way they get in there is fucked up as well for children. So the way they go is they're travel. They come across a village, realize this village has been raided. And they don't use the term raided, but that's essentially what it is. Most of the villagers are dead. Things are on fire. They make it to this little house on a hill, and they go in because they're like, we need food and supplies, because we need to eat, right? Perfectly logical, okay, right? So they go in, they walk up the steps, and right there by the door on the little side, you have a dead person. He's been decapitated. That's not a sight for children to see. They are obviously in shock and they're like, oh my god. Will, being the oldest, is like, come along, let's just keep moving and let's get what we need to and stuff. So they go. But then as they're in there and they took the stuff, right? The things they need. One of the little spies realized, hey, I hear pounding of horses, so we need to go. And then they realize there's no way to run out of this escape except the front door, and that would be right into their hands. So they cut where are they on posture? They cut a window in to this other world, and Will realizes it's a little hard. So, you know how I told you the knife broke? I realized I skipped this part. Well, it broke. They fixed it with the help of the Bear King, and it took all three of them to make a fire in the cave and help mend it. So that, I forgot to mention that while I'm telling you this. So now that's how we have a knife that is working, and they were able to do what they needed to do to get in and out. So now they've cut a window, trying to escape the people that are pounding the raiders. And wow. We won, yay. Okay. So Will cuts cuts a hole, and he realizes this is a little bit difficult, but he like forces it down. Forces a cut through, and they walk through, and they also realize walking through is not as easy as it was before, and so they even have to help the little mini humans. They have to hold them and then like push and pull to get them in. So when they walk over to this other world, they realize it's a parallel universe, essentially. At least in my opinion, that's what it was. Parallel universe, everything the same. The only difference is Home Dude that was decapitated is now alive. And they're like, oh shit. And Home Dude was like, I just saw my body lying there, decapitated, blood everywhere. And, what the hell is happening, essentially. And so they're just like, so yeah, you die and you're dead. And he has a little meltdown, and then he's like, oh, I can't be here. I gotta go. I gotta go. So he leaves the little hut, and everyone's kind of like surprised, like, weren't we just here? Didn't we just see someone die like that? But hey, we're safe. There's no raiders here. So they walk out of the little hut, and then they realize all of the villagers that were dead below are now here, and they're ghosts. They must be ghosts. I think one of them tries to catch a ghost, and it passes through them, and they're like, yeah, they're a ghost. This is how they arrive to the land or the world of the dead. Armory and the kitchen. That's just a fucked up way to. I'm thinking yellow. Damn, everyone just voted me. Like, I promise you it's not. um, so they realize they're in the world of the dead, and as they walk away from the little hut, they realize that the only reason it was a hut and it looked very similar to the place that they just came from was because it was a memory of the ghost. It was a ghost memory, and the further they walked away, the dimmer color it got. Like it was starting to turn gray and then pitch black until the recollection of the village was no longer there, and it was just a black vacuum. It's what I assume space would be like this endless vacuum. So that is the world of the dead. And so off they go, and they're traveling in the little group, and they make it to the village of the dead, where it's essentially like, are you dead? Here's your pass. You're not dead. You're in like limbo. All right. So they're like, oh, you don't have your death. You're in between. You're not alive, but you're not dead. And when they said that, I was like, oh, so it would be like people in the hospitals that are right on the edge of dying, but not fully dead. And apparently, when you're at that stage, um, they put you, at least in this book, they take you to a different area of the world, and you just have to wait till you die. Dang. Which is a very interesting way of like how that was, I guess, how the author described the world of the dead. So they go, and they go to the place they were told to go. And obviously, all of them are alive. They're not dead, so it's a little weird for them. Like, oh, these are all, like, what happened? they come upon a family in a house who is like, well, we've been here for a while. We're not alive, but we're just waiting to die. And then they have a chit chat, and um they realize Lyra says, "Well, look, I'm just trying to go over there. How do I make it over there?" And they're like, "Young lady, you don't just waltz into the world of the dead. You have to have your death with you, and it will take you where you need to go." And she's like, "My death? What do you mean?" And basically, your death is another part of you that is there with you. I guess it's like a demon, basically, is how they were trying to describe it. Who is there with you through your entirety of your life, whether you realize it's there or not. And it was a very interesting concept, in my opinion. I think it's two patties, yeah. Because after that, it's like it's there when you are born, and it's there when you die, so you're not alone. Ventilation. Where is the ventilation? Viewing deck. Okay. Um, the whole concept of it was really good, in my opinion. Um, and it was like later on when Will is recounting the story, it helps when Mary, the lady that's supposed to be the serpent, is there, and she adds more emphasis to it. So, but in this part, we realize, so you have a demon, you have your death, and then there's you, right? And in different worlds, different people like are very comfortable with their death, so they have them right beside them like a ghost. And they talk to them and they offer comfort, and then I mean they continue on with their life. Obviously, in other worlds, um, no, I don't. Um, in other worlds, people are okay with their demons and some are not. Let's go with them. And in other worlds, you don't have either or. So it's a very interesting play on different worlds to do. King was not an imposter. To remain. Alright, let's go over here. Oh, I need to go to the viewing deck. So we get that little tidbit. Lyra, as a child, throws a temper tantrum, but also manages to make her death appear. And she is frightened by it a little bit, but she makes do. Where? Where is the connection? No! Why did I know it was Blue trying to kill me? I thought I saw it. Well, we'll just leave it up for. Um, and then they go in, and you still have the. You still have the how do I call it? It's like a variety of like how you die type of theories all mixed together, because I was so close to finishing that. When you make it to the pier, you have to go into a boat, and this man rides you across to the land of the dead. So the essential part, the first part you're at, is basically like, if I guess if you know Christian theology or Catholicism. Um, I would have thought of it as purgatory, and then you get transferred over. But the boat totally reminds me of um the ferryman in Greek mythology. You give them a coin, and off they go and take you down into the underworld. So that's what it made me think of. And I thought that was really cool in my opinion. A little couple here and there. Um, oh, no one. Okay. So on their way to the actual land of the dead, uh, they they all make difficult choices without realizing it's difficult choice. So they have to leave a part of themselves. Engine room. They have to leave a part of themselves. And Lyra's the only one that part of herself is visible. So it's like heart wrenching. And she has to leave her demon in. No, she has to leave her demon on the pier and travel the remaining length. And it's a very horrible process of distancing yourself from your demon. It feels like you're leaving a part of your heart on the deck there. So that's the physical aspect of it. The other three people don't have a physical demon, so they're like, oh, we're just gonna go into the boat, and yeah, and so they all climb in, and they do leave, and then halfway through the trip, they realize that their heart is being wrenched apart, and they have this empty feeling in their chest, and they're crying, and it looks like they've just been through a really rough time. And it's the fact that their demons have been ripped out, and they just didn't notice it. And all of them went through it, so obviously all of them have that part of themselves, even if like they weren't aware of it or they didn't see it. They have that part. Give me the trash can. There we go. And then the next part was they get to the island, and then you have a harpy. And the only time I remember or think of harpies in like the world of the dead is in Norse mythology, where they protect Valhalla. Um, that's the only time I remember Valkyries, harpies, a little bit of both, harpies, yeah. Um, where was I? Where was I? I don't remember where I was at the music deck. There we go. Task in kitchen. Um, so like I said, you have Greek mythology, you have the regular Christianity, you have Norse mythology in there. It's just a couple of different things, but it works. It was really nice reading through it and like trying to figure out what's going on. Um, so they make it into it, and the harpy demands that oh, I gotta fix my, give her a story. And so Lyra all this time when someone has asked her for a story or to tell her, or why did you come here? What have you gotten up to? What was your trip about? She has lied her little ass off. And it has worked. It has. Wow! We found a dead person here. In electrical. Didn't see anyone. But when she starts telling this harpy a fake story, she gets attacked and she gets scratched, and she is all of a sudden, like after that happens, she is afraid. She doesn't understand why that happened. I don't know if it's cyan and green. I'm voting green or lime. So that happens, and they make it into, because there's this wall and this heavy door like before you can get in. Anyway, they make it in and they're kind of safe, but Lyra has been frightened beyond. She she has been like, "Oh no. I was giving her a story, but she didn't take to it. And she didn't take to it because it was a lie. It wasn't the truth. We gotta first try to figure out what toilet it was. All right. So in the land of the world, in the land of the dead, if I can get this to go. In the land of the dead. Wow, yellow, wow. Dang. Killed by yellow. In the land of the dead there. They've made it in. They're a little safe. The harpy is there. Flying around trying to be that. Meh, meh, meh. And, yes, because that's obvious how they go. Meh, meh, meh. They're like, liar, liar, liar. And then it's a whole group, and everyone's trying to be safe. And the little ghost kids are around, and they're like, "Who are you? Why are you here? You're not dead." And they all crowd around her and him, and everyone's touching them, and they're like, "Hey, we're trying to save." She's trying to find her friend Roger, and in order to save him and apologize to him because that is the friend from the first book that got killed. And she feels so guilty about it. Like, she thought she was saving him, and she thought her and him were gonna be friends forever and live forever, and her own father kills him. And that's the reason why she needed to go here, was because she needed to apologize, which is a big girl moment right there. Like, out of the things like she's done and the adventures she's partaking in, I don't think she really has a lot to apologize for. It's just like, well, it's not my fault you listened to me type of thing. And this moment right there is very pivotal. This is character growth at its finest, and I'm just like, yes, I'm here for it. And then Will is here because he wants to talk to his father. Have a little bit more time than the time they were given before the witch, kind of shoot his father with an arrow. And so they walk and they walk and they walk, and it's an endless walk. And they talk to the little people, and they get an explanation of like, hey, what do you do here? And they're like, well, all you do is you walk, and then the harpies, all they tell you are all the bad things that you've done in your life. Like, that's all they can see is the horrible things. Which again, I think that reminds me, like, Greek mythology, Tartarus there. Um, uh, and then they walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. And it's dark and cold and empty and vast, and they're almost giving up, but they don't. And then they finally make it to where her friend is. And so the main reason they're here is to apologize, right? The second reason is they got this grand idea that they are going to liberate the dead, which is like, what? When you think about it, but at the same time, you're like, well, if they're stuck there, I mean, yeah, they want to be free. Um, but it's such like a childlike thought that it fits them. So that's their task. They go and then they make a deal with the harpy to because the harpy is not happy with her job. She says, all we get is fear and mockery, and I gotta go to the well, and I can't get there. Like, all what they feed on were like the negative emotions essentially, and she was like, it sucks. And I'm like, well, yeah, that really sucks, and that's why they're so grotesque looking, was because of how icky the emotions were that they were feeding off of. And Lyra will propose, well, hey, if I tell you a story, because she ended up telling the real story of their adventures, um, and the harpy didn't kill her, and that was real. Well, she was like, well, why didn't you attack me? And it's like, well, that's the truth. And so that's how they came up with this really awesome idea of wow. I just got killed by White. That they came up with this really awesome idea of getting the harpies to lead the people of the dead to the appropriate window or place where they can step out of the world. And in exchange for doing that, they have to tell the harpies their story, their life story. And that helps the dead, because those that have been in there for the longest time don't remember who they are, what they like. They don't remember anything of that. And that was a very sad thing to read. Like, it's been so long that you just don't remember. There's no pleasure. It's just emptiness. And the younger ghosts obviously do still retain their emotions and memories and their names, so they remember. And so they agreed, and they make it out. And in the middle of walking down this path, it was very reminiscent of, honestly, the Christian thing of you walk 40 days and 40 nights. And you cannot look back. You just got to keep moving forward, which is also kind of like reminded me of like Greek mythology in certain places where some lovesick person comes down to the underworld. It's like, I want my beloved back. And they're like, well, you can take her, but you got to go through this test of walking out and having faith that everything is going as it should be, and you cannot look back. It was a mixture of those essentially to me. They walked for a really long time. They met up with Will's father, and he spoke with them. And at one point, there was a moment of panic where they're like, "So I'm gonna need you to just do what I say and cut your hair right here." So that part was essentially, which in my opinion, this is book magic, was when Lyra was with her mother, drugged up and asleep. Her mother was tending to her, and she cut her hair and kept a hair in her locket by her chest and near her heart. So fast forward, and she goes over to where the authority in the church is to like double backstab them and be like, I'll help you find this, my daughter, and all I want's my daughter, and you can have all this information. And they're like, sure. But they honestly take the locket and grab the piece of hair, and they're gonna use it against Lyra because someone had invented a very popular weapon, which is basically like a nuclear bomb, but it's very similar to that, but it is they're activating the hair strands on the atoms on one hair strands to match the hair strands wherever they are, and that would cause the explosion. Um, and it's right at the cut. And I had to like listen or read that like twice because I wasn't sure how. Like I wasn't understanding. I'm like, you're resonating the atoms, and then you're exploding them. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. I mean, is it just one part of the hair, or is it the whole hair? Is it this whole strand? And I finally understood that it's just a little part that was snipped, and that's the reason why in the land of the dead with Will's father, he was like, you're gonna have to cut a piece of her hair right here to the root. So, and then you have to cut a window to another world, and you just throw that hair in there. And it was like, don't ask questions. We don't have time. You just gotta do this. And so it happened. And when that happened, it was basically like a atomic bomb went off, and it rocked almost all of the worlds there. And yay, victory! And then it created this big chasm. Chasm. Chasm? Chasm, I think. Uh, and now, now the trip to the portal to let the ghost come out is even more treacherous. Now you have to like walk on this ledge and keep looking forward and don't look at the little hole in the middle of the ground in the middle of the universe. That's essentially a black hole. It's eating everything up. Anything that goes in there gets destroyed. And again, I really, really like how like the science part of the book is like going in there. It's not all just like crazy religious stuff. Um, so they make it by the sheer strands of their hair, honestly. Make it out, and when they come out, they come out. Where am I going here? Okay, everything has to be near the showers. Da da da. They come out into what I refer to as Mary's part of the realm. Showers are over there. Showers and ventilation lounge. Mary, the scientist from Oxford, um, did as the fuck. Green, why you do this? I was just minding my own business. She did as the odometer told her. Listio monitor, listometer told her to do. Um, she goes into this other world, and they have basically like elephant people, and elephant people on wheels. That, my friends, was an interesting concept to me. But honestly, it also reminded me of the Indian culture in Ganesha. Um, very much so. Um, so it all comes together here, kind of. This world was, I guess it's like a primary world. This is where the dust is flowing through, and trees are dying because there's less dust flow and things like that. Well, Mary's there trying to help the elephant people, um, first she ends up learning their language and learning their custom, and then they bond with her and trust her more, and they're like, maybe you can help us solve our problems that we didn't realize were problems, or we did, but they weren't as relevant as they are now. And then the portal to where the ghosts are coming out of, and that part was very emotional because it's the point of would you rather live in this eternity where there's nothing and it's just eternal blackness and it feels very empty and horrible and cold, or if the opportunity presented itself and you could look upon the beautiful landscape of a world and then you disappear, what would you do? Which one would you elect? And a lot of people obviously decided to go with dang it, the option of like, well, I want to get a last glimpse of the world before I turn into molecules that are around the earth, the atmosphere. They basically turn into dust. And this is where I think dust or dark matter, it's like everything gets reduced back to atoms. Dark matter, dust, whatever it is, and this is how it becomes conscious. Um, in my opinion, that's what I decided to go with when I was reading it. I was like, yeah, this is the way. Um, but it was very sentimental, and obviously throughout the whole procession of going out of the world of the dead, you had people that were very unsure whether to keep going, to turn back, to not follow, to people that were like, you're just lying, you're just pulling our tail, our horse, or you're just, how do I know to trust you, essentially? And it was like, you just have to, and you just have to keep going. Uh, you had a group of priests that were like, this is the devil talking, this is not right. Don't listen to these folks, they're just leading you down into hell, which was not right, but it also shows you how different perspective view things. Things that you think are right and fundamentally good could be bad to someone else. Pick up the towels. Okay, I'll pick up the towels in the shower. So that was, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed reading that. I mean, it makes you think. The overall theme or questions of all of the choices is it good or evil? And then how do you perceive good and evil? Which I think in the overall course of our lifetime, that's the big questions there. What the choices that I make or the things that I come across. Where is the ventilation? Is it good or is it evil? Am I making the right choice? Somewhere over here. Ah, what? How do I do this? Oh, what? What? Reveal code. Money, money. So then do I just do the money, money over here? Enter code. Money, money. No. That makes more sense. Okay, these are money. There you go. That makes much better sense because I didn't know what I was doing there. All right. So now we're almost to the end. This is the third book, The Amber Spyglass. And I love it when things like, I don't know, with books I love it when you're reading it and obviously the title has to mean something, right? Or for the most part. Like when I have a title, like, I want something in the story to reference the title, I guess I should say. Um, there we go. Um, so in the Amber Spyglass, for a while I was like, is this okay? We have a golden compass, we have a stubble knife. Is this going to be another instrument that is not, it helps the world, but it also doesn't really help the world. Um, right? Um, and it turns out the Amber Spyglass is actually being made in the third series, in the third book, by Mary because she needs it in order to view dust, which is the problem that the elephant people are having. Um, so she makes it, and it's not fancy. It's very crude. That's the word I'm looking for. Crude. It is just varnished over wood placking, and then the wood placking is removed, and then it's more varnish, and then it's split into half, and then it's taking one piece and then like getting the other piece and moving it into focus, like closer, not close. Essentially like a spyglass, and eventually she puts it in something. I don't remember what. I guess some metal contraption to be able to do it like a spyglass. But the first part is very elementary or very crude. It's awesome. And she is able to see the dust particles, the dark matter particles. Matt, come on, Matt. Yeah. All right. And so she makes it, and when she was making it, I was like, oh, this is where it is. This is where we get the Amber Spyglass. And it just made my little book heart like soar. I was like, yes, the reference is there. It was great. I loved that part. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way about books and like when they reference things. And but to me it does. Like I'm damn it, yellow. I died there. All right, let's finish task. Maybe we can win this task. But like I'm reading The Perks of a Wallflower because I saw the movie and it's one of my brother's favorite books, and so I finally I'm gonna read it. Um, and it's so good. And it's so sad, and I relate to that character so well. Uh, but there was a part where it was like, yeah, you're a wallflower, and it obviously mentions, references the title, and I was like, yes. So there's that one. I'm 3/4 of the way through with that one, and then I'm also listening to Mistborn. And it was the same thing when they were explaining what Mistborn are. I was like, that just makes sense. And I like it because it references the title, which is Mistborn here. And I don't know, it's like weird little things like that that just make me happy when reading books. Um, but back to his dark material. Um, Amber Spyglass was created. It's used for Mary. Mary finds the children and helps them recover from their terrible ordeal that they went through. They also get to recount to Mary the story of what happened in their travels. And so this is where this is where when they're recounting their travels through the land of the dead, and they're like, yeah, this one had a demon, and this one had their death. And I mean, obviously, in our world, we don't have either of those, but it's just ourselves, you know. And my opinion was your demon was like your conscious, yes. And about your death. I mean, I guess it could also be your conscious, but just a different part. Anyway, at this point, yeah. At this point, Mary kind of tells them a little about their life. She was a nun before she was a scientist. At one point, uh, with her being a nun, they still allowed her to do research, and she was researching the universe and things. And she went to a seminar where she had to give a talk, and she was tempted. She kissed a guy, and she felt like pride in her work, essentially. And she returned back to the church and was like, I don't think I need to be here. And so that's what she was telling. That's her background, essentially. And so um, Will is telling her about the demon and the death, and then the fact that they don't have either of those. And she's like, I'm not surprised, because in the Catholic Church you have the spirit, the soul, and the body. It's a three-parter. And so she was like, so that must be it. It's just that in different worlds it's different. You have your soul, your spirit, and your body, and um, you would think one without the other, but they're all there together, essentially. And I was just like mind blown. Not necessarily mind blown, but I was like, that makes a lot of sense. That's what I was waiting to hear about, how he was going to put that into perspective for his readers. And I was like, all right. Um, Even though when she started that, I was like, are we going with like the Trinity? I think is what I was thinking for a moment there, and I was really glad that wasn't where they were going with that. Meeting room showers, okay. Um, showers, where are the showers? Up, up, up. Okay. And so I was like, I had a moment of gasp, and I was like, what? That was so good. That was very well done, very well written. I really enjoyed how that was put together. And again, you feel like the mesh of the religions in there. At least for me, that's what it felt like. Um, I don't know about anyone else if you have read it or not. Um, so that was like one important key point in that part. We also have the important key point where Mary talks about her stories, how she was tempted, and she realized she kissed this guy and had a really great time with this guy, and of course she never saw him again. But it was a very intellectual conversation, easygoing, and And when she kissed him, no, I think they did see each other a couple more times after, but it wasn't like relations. When she kissed him, she had this moment of like, I know this feeling. I've I've had this feeling before. And then it's like flashback to her younger years when she was a child and she kissed this boy at a party, and she was like, that's what it felt like love, essentially. And then she goes into this little monologue of what love feels like, and she recounts what the memory she had of her first love. And it was super cute and super sweet. And at this time, Lyra, while the story's going on, she's having her own revelation of like, I like what she's talking about. I understand. Like, I have been wondering what the hell I've been feeling, but I don't know how to put into words, but this must be it, what she's talking about. Um and main hall. And we get to hear more of her story and why she stopped becoming a nun. And this overall theme of love, right? And then she finish up her story, and they go to bed. That's where basically like that's the end of a day. The next day, it's like, hey, we need to search for something. We'll be back. It's just gonna be Will and I. And Mary's like, okay, we can finish resuming story time later. So off they go, and as they're with Lyra's newfound knowledge of, I think I love Will, they go off, and as the day progresses, they get closer and closer, and then they make it into a mm, go with this one. They make it into a jungly area, and they at this point they have eyes for nothing but themselves and their demons, which they've managed to find, and are are playing a game of like, we see you but we don't see you, like hide and seek, basically. And they make it into this very grove where there's trees and roots and a lot of things. It's basically a little tucked away garden jungle thing. Okay. And they sit there at like a little log and they talk. And then they just like look at each other eyes, and it's like this heavy moment. And Cyan, what are you doing here? Where am I? By the ladder leading to meeting room past Cyan on the way. No. I guess it's dark green. If it's not, I'm voting Cyan. So then they have this moment, and then it's basically like all I could think about while reading this is, oh, this is the garden. We're reenacting the Bible Genesis with Adam and Eve at the moment, right here, at this moment, because you're in a garden. I promise I won't tell. So we're in this garden and they're reenacting what Mary had said. Like, yes, I had this little something something, and I just basically assume it was like a little cherry or something, and you put it against the lip of the guy she really liked, or the guy to her, and like they bit into it, and then they had this really awesome kiss, essentially. So now we're like reenacting this with Will and with Lyra, and instead of a cherry, it's whatever food that was given to them for lunch, and it's this very big moment, and I'm like, is this the temptation that is supposed to occur, where it where it's essentially the reenactment of like we have eaten the forbidden fruit in this garden and now we have fallen. Like that's where my mind was at when I was reading this part, and electricals over here. And it kind of wasn't, it kind of wasn't. Because while they did reenact the whole bite into this fruit that I'm giving to you, then confess our undying love to each other and give each other kisses. Uh, that was the extent of it, and there was no real snake telling them to do this or that. Um, and they survived and they came out. But it was a moment of, I guess, growth for them because they came out. That's not the vault. The vault is higher up. They came out as no longer children. Um, because the dust has settled, and that's how you can tell that the people have grown into adults. And I can't tell if that's a body or not. No, no body. What do I have to do? And they're holding hands and they're coming back, and obviously Mary realizes, oh, they're in love. And then she also realizes when she looks at them through the little amber spyglass, it's like, oh, the dust has settled, and they're pulling in more dust. And then she looks up to the sky because that's where the problem was, and it was they did a really good metaphor here, and I really liked it, and it was how when there is a really heavy river flowing down, but normally you wouldn't be able to stop such a phenomenon from continuing to wash away things, right? But if some pebble were to be thrown and it is to be hit at a specific place, the ripples that it would cause would stop the flowing river. And essentially that's what it was, that the event was the fact that loved was the pebble, and the effects were monumental to the rest of the world. And it helped keep the dust in the world, and it stopped the heavy river that was flowing above of dust. And no, that's not where I need. Okay, I do need to go here. And then when you think it's like supposed to end in this really good like place of like, I think it's right. Hold on, I'm trying to adjust this. Um, in this really good area of like, yeah, we've accomplished all the good things, and now we could return and travel through our world, and I can go see you and you can go see me, blah, blah, blah. All this really nice, lovey-dovey, everything's good in the world, right? You think it would end that way, right? I thought it would end that way. I was very, very wrong. It breaks my heart. It kind of breaks my heart the way it ended, but based on how the books have been going, I was like, you know what? This was a good way for it to end. And even though I was like, oh man, I understood. So essentially, they realize they love each other. This is a child that is 12 and 14. They realize they love each other. They realize that their demons settle. And at the same time, their demons are very sad because they know the real truth. And the real truth is that the knife, when it cuts a window to the world, it creates a specter. And there are thousands of windows in every world. And that is the reason why things begin to go to shit, essentially. And in order for everything to be right in all the worlds, all the windows need to be closed. Which means they need to go to their respective worlds. They need to go to this respective worlds, right? And this is a hard thing to for a child that has just realized this is their first love and now it's like ripped apart again. Like they didn't even get like a full week. They got probably like for 3 days to like be like, this is what love is, and I will never marry. I will hold you in my memory, and this and that, right? So, the choice, the real temptation, I guess, here is, will you, dang it, go to your separate respective worlds and build up the new Republic of Heaven? Or will one of them follow the other into their world and, only have 10 years to live because now you get a disease that's going to kill you because you're not in your own world? Like, those are two sucky choices, and they have to make them as children. Like, I'm sure as an adult, even as an adult, you would probably still, like, be like, oh, I don't know, I have to, like, have to think about this. This is 10 years of my life spent with the person I love and live a really good life with them, but only for 10 years, or live a lifetime but not share it with them. I don't know, that's a hard choice. So, as children, logically, Will realize this is what his dad meant in the. Why can't I get this? Okay, we're just gonna ignore that for now, and we'll come back to that. Will realize this is what his dad was referring to in the world of the dead, about the choices and how he told them, well, I was in this new world for 10 years and I have a heart sickness that could never be fixed. And while I still thought of your mom and you in this place, and I never married or never had another family with anyone else, like, it's only 10 years and I died. And I'm dead. I'm a dead man walking, essentially. So it all just comes comes to him all at once, and he yells at how unfair. They both yell and cry at how unfair it is. Which, I mean, granted, they have a right to because it is unfair. And then logically, they both know what is the appropriate answer. I'm gonna skip because I don't know. And even though it's the appropriate answer doesn't mean they want to choose it. So you think about it, and I mean in the end they do make the right choice, I guess, if you consider it the right choice. But they elected to go to their own respective worlds and live out their life. God, I don't know about this one. Oh, there we go. But they made a pact, and like they would meet up in the, what was it? The botanical gardens every spring equinox, I want to say. And they would sit at a bench at midday, I think. And even though they're in different worlds, they're doing it at the same time. And I thought that was the most adorable thing ever. 6, 6, 4. Wow. I was trying to save us and we just died there. Wow. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that was, I mean, it was a very heart-wrenching moment there of like, oh, but it was so cute. It's like, well, every year, even if I get married, I'll come and sit here. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's freaking adorable. And it's, I don't know. I really thoroughly enjoyed reading that. That was a good one. I guess that concludes my synopsis of the series. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Hopefully I'll remember. Let's see. I'm not really good. Oh, there you go. I'm an okay imposter. So yeah, the end of the book is very open. I guess it concludes, and it's also very open and very open to interpretation. If you have Lyra sitting at the bench, being like, "It's time for us to do as my dad said and build the Republic." And in our own respective worlds, and she had a lifetime of learning how to read the lithometer, because as an adult you can't just read it. That was grace that was granted. And as an adult now, obviously the readings have to be intentional. So baby yellow. Oh, yes. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, we got it. Yay. So yeah. There's a couple more books. I meant Gigi. That I have that I'm waiting to finish. Mistborn has been really good. I'm almost through with Perks. Um, of a Wallflower. I kind of had to take a break from that because it's very emotional, I guess. Um, so I thought I mean it's about a 4 hour read through audiobooks, and I think I got halfway and I was like, all right, I had enough. I need to take a break because my heart can't take much more emotional stuff. Um, I don't need to be getting sad at work. So I took a little break, and that's why I started Mistborn. Um, it's actually really good. Um, there we go. God dang it. It took me a while to figure out who the characters were. Because obviously I am listening to it. And some of the names were very similar, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't this and this person? And then I would rewind it. I'm like, oh no, it's a different person. Um, but I I do think it was a little slow in the beginning, but I think it was just me having to figure out the appropriate names for characters and putting like keeping it straight in my mind of who's who and where they are at, because uh I don't always have a very good audio attention span. Like sometimes I zone out and then I was out to zone back in. I think I did that a little bit in the beginning, but now it's like getting to the really good part. Honestly, I am surprised by how long the audio track is. It is about 24 hours. I am just on hour 5. And it is, I think, chapter 7 or chapter 8, somewhere around there. I can't vote because we know who killed me there. Um, and I do have my favorite character. It's the girl, V, Vince, Bree, something like that. She's my favorite, I think. And I really hope this is not Game of Thrones and like she gets killed off. There are books that main character gets killed off, and it's so good, but it's also devastating. Um, let's follow orange. Actually, let me do my tasks here. I'm this close. Um, again, this book is Mistborn. It's about leading a rebellion. So far, it's about leading a rebellion. I can't tell you if that is all throughout the book. We are also fighting against authority here. uh, and leading a rebellion. So, what does that say about my book choices there? um, like I said, so far it's good. I've enjoyed it. I like that I've already hit the part where it explains the title or reference the title. Um, The narrator is good. Sometimes I can't listen to books based on the narrator. It throws me off. Um, I don't know. I think there's something audioly that it's either very pleasing or I just don't like it, and I know I won't really tune into it. But this narrator is good. Um, like I said, I'm still shocked it's 24 hours long. 24 and some change. So I'm sure it'll take me like a week or two to finish it. I finished the series of the historic materials in about a week and a half. Um, and then I have Atlas Shrugged to listen to, and Even the Stars Look Lonesome by Maya Angelou there. And I think Atlas Shrugged is like really long as well. Damn it, pink and orange. So I'm excited about that. I think most of my classmates had read Atlas Shrugged. I think it was a Battle of the Book thing, or it was on a list of something that I do know. If any one of you know where, I think it's a classic at this point. Drop it in there and let me know. So yeah, I'll probably finish The Perks of a Wallflower. The movie was really good with Emma Watson and guy that is the evil guy in the new Star Wars. Ken? I think his name is Ken. Something. His face is pretty. That's all I know. Record rooms, sort records. Okay. Adam Driver. Okay. That guy. Pretty face. Yes. He was in the Perks. I think Perks of Being a Wallflower. He was the guy that says he's the prettiest one. Which yes, he is. He played Patrick, I believe. There we go. What else? So going through and hearing it, and like being like, oh yeah, I remember that part in the movie. That was good. Give me the trash. I always have a horrible time with the trash can task. Meeting room, engine room, and showers. Engine room is right here. There is definitely more story than I thought there was gonna be, and I think the movie didn't go that all in. I also probably have to rewatch the movie because it's been a while. Or well, I think there's moments that I remember from the movie, and then other moments that I don't. So obviously, there's more about that. Dark green. Yes, that touchscreen life sometimes is easier. For Among Us. I think my mouse is downstairs and I was too lazy to go get it. He was an imposter. So yeah. I think obviously Perks of Being a Wallflower has themes of depression and mental illness in there. That makes it a little hard to read. It's very well written in explaining like certain feelings and emotions, and so that's good. The narrator there isn't bad. Showers and fix shower. You guys got the the crash, right? I can do these tasks. Too far. Too far. There we go. I guess not. Have you guys been killed? Oh, no one's over there. Damn, light green. It's light green. They killed me. I'm dead, so there's not much I can do. No, I don't like that it was at a tie because it's obviously lime. Engine room, engine room. Now I don't know what other task I have to do. Oh, wow. Yep, that's how he does it. Tell me you're gonna get you. Yes, 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 it is lime. Victory is ours. Honestly, sometimes when I say victory, all I can think about is the SpongeBob episode with them singing Sweet Victory. That's like the best episode of them all. Was the best soundtrack right there. Let's start. So, Adam Driver. Sorry, I got excited because I'm the imposter and didn't realize it until this moment. So I really want to see, what is it? That story, that movie he made. It's on Netflix. I think The Marriage Life. Um, I think I've heard that was a good one. Obviously I've seen the ones where he's in Star Wars. What other movies is he in? In The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Um, Someone's in their feelings tonight. We can just vote him out if that's how everyone's feeling. Oh! It was a tie of lime and green. That's great. Alright, let's get serious and beat some booty here. Or try to. Where did they go? Right there, but it's okay. What? Why are we hitting this button? No one has died. I have no idea. I'm voting. Oh, I forgot to bring a water bottle up here with me to hydrate. Now I feel very parched because I just spoke for a very, very long time about a book series. Uh, uh, well, I guess that's alright. Orange got voted out. You know what I haven't played? It Takes Two. Can't wait to play that again. I am so much better now that I can play on a controller and not a mouse and a keyboard. Ah, uh, thanks, whoever hit the light, my other friend. mm, it's so much easier. I also have to like finish up that sound puzzles in The Witness because that's a little difficult. You guys can help me with that, right? My ears are not that finely attuned, apparently. I thought they were, but they're not. Let me do this. Maybe I can catch someone coming up here. Drats. Let's not go there. I'm surprised no one has reported Blue's body. There we go. I spoke too soon, didn't I? Oh, am I the only one that's been killing? Because those two are my kills. Yes, you should help me. On my... on my sound puzzles, because they're hard. Especially when it's alternating between one ear and then the other one, and I'm trying to focus on one ear and then it's the wrong ear that I'm focusing on. Like, how? How do I do that? So, yeah. Pink and lime got two, and I voted for white. There's only 5 of us. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. Let's see if anyone is up there. Yes, victory. Good job. We won. We won, we won, we won. Alright, I think this is going to be my last game here, you guys. Last game for me. Let's go. Last game of the night. We've done a good job. I hope you have all enjoyed me telling you about this book series. And if you haven't read it, you should totally go and read them or hear it audioly. If I spoiled it for you, I'm sorry. But it's so good, you just have to talk about it. Main hall, develop photos, it's right here. I mean, I don't need to read them now. I know the whole series. I guess you do. I mean, I gave you a good just a synopsis there. But I mean, if you wanted to know more, because I totally skipped over some parts. Because otherwise, I would have probably been on here for much longer. You can totally read it. Everyone hates green, and they're like, I'm not saying who killed him. Skip. Oh, that's great. I know the important stuff. That's what counts. You're right. The themes are good versus bad, making the right choices as a child or an adult, and right choices are how you preserve the world, essentially. because everyone's right is not everyone's wrong, or vice versa. And you can think that you're doing the wrong thing, but you can be on the wrong side of the war there. Um, Main hall. Also, the church, who is all that also brings me to a point of where well, it's not exactly the church, but the overall themes of good and evil of the little like Chinese yin and yang part, which and the yin and yang, right? Most people assume like the good is the white and the bad is the black part. And then you have the little dots in the middle. And then there's somewhere, I think maybe a different book that I read that was like, actually the black is the good and the white is the evil, which like just puts a spin on it, and I thought that was really good. That I really enjoyed how that was presented. Which here it's presented, you have the church, which is a good entity, and they're just corrupt as hell. And even though they're good, they're doing bad stuff, bad shit right there. So obviously someone has to oppose them, and now they're the bad side because they're going against this indoctrine that has been taught from a millennia or however many years. I'm just gonna vote as he says. Uh, so yeah, your good is not always good. I feel like I get on tangents on this. And also, many books can have multiple ways of how to portray death and stuff. And mm, what else? What else was another theme that we passed through? I guess, is temptation really temptation? I don't know. Different, I guess, different events are different temptations. Then, because there are so many times I thought this was the choice that was going to divide the world, and it was not. It was not there yet. Are we voting for pink now? They just said just go for the task win so they can enjoy the ghost chat with Green. Oh, Green is gonna be so angry. Lime said I'm down to let y'all win. Same. Oh, that's great. I love this group sometimes. I love Matt and Des, honestly. Ah. We all just skipped. Oh man. So yeah. Mhm. What else? I guess the book also gave you really hard situations that children are exposed to, I guess. And you gotta kind of take it as it is and keep trudging forward, like the resiliency of kids, but also like the softness of kids develop both. And like sometimes kids can surprise you. Communications. Ugh, I got the hiccups. Um, what else? Oh, the main villain. Okay, because I totally glossed over who the main villain is. So I've been saying the authority is a villain. They're who the church views as God, but God is not God. Or who? Yes, God is not God. God in this book is an angel that took over. He is an old angel, and he took over what was we got our booty. He took over and he started making all these rules that were to help basically put the church in place and to keep people from being too curious and overthrowing him essentially. And then, once he was too old, he gave some of his powers to Megatron, and he became the Almighty, in quotation marks. And then he continued the thing of keeping humans indoctrined through religious scriptures. And, yeah. That's who was killed with Megatron. And honestly, in a lot of, like, shows and supernatural shows and movies, like, I just want to know, is everyone in the know? Is Megatron just like always like a shitty asshole or like evil? Like, cuz he's always from what I've seen at least, he's mostly the villain. From what I know, he was ascribed, I think, something like that. Regardless, he's always like it's all his fault. He's a scapegoat. uh, so anyway, that's who it's an angel. That is the villain here. Anyway, he dies and the world returns to its rightful place. Well, I'm done with my task here. Mm. And then all the rest of the angels. This is where the fallen angels versus the angels that stayed up there. It was essentially through their point of view. It was the angels that fell were the ones that were opposing the authority and Megatron, and they didn't feel like what he was doing was right for the rest of humanity. Like he was keeping us in the dark, and so they fought. And so they fell as well, and so they helped out their human companions basically. And the people or the angels that stayed were the ones for Megatron and the authority to stay in power. So yeah, that was that. That was a big plot point there. I'm writing this conveyor belt to pass time and see where our task win is. Who has the last task? I am done with tasks. Is it a ghost? Does a ghost have the last task? I don't know. Don't know. We will see. Oh no, he took my thingy. Good job, you guys. Good night. Or goodbye. All right, you guys, I am done here. Like I said, I hope you enjoy listening to me talk about historic materials and overall themes and stuff. Um, I hope you enjoyed the summary of the book series. If you want to go through this video and just listen to me talk about it so you don't have to read your books, you can. It's only up here for 14 days and then you'll be stuck reading them. Or listen to them if you listen to an audiobook. Um, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm ready to go to bed. And then maybe next week I'll talk about The Perks of a Wallflower or Mistborn if I finish it. Whichever one I finish first. It'll be good. It'll be great. And I'll see you there. Make sure you follow to get notifications of when we go live. Probably this weekend I'll probably play The Witness and we can do puzzles and you can use your big brains to help me solve them. I am probably halfway done with my puzzle workings. There's still a lot to do, I think. So without further ado, good night, sweet dreams, take care. And good morning, good afternoon if you're in another time zone. Peace.